Hello, everyone. My name is Arul. I'm one of the technical consultant with PAM 360. So I'll be conducting this master class for today. First of all, I would like to thank you, everyone, for joining this master class amidst your busy schedule. So let's quickly dive in and explore PAM 360's capabilities of certificates lifecycle management. Now, the first question when it comes to certificate lifecycle management is why. So, why the SSL certificates should be managed? So, I believe you should have come across or heard about the security breaches due to mismanaged SSL certificates that have occurred across various industries and organizations in the past. So, these breaches leads to data leaks, service disruptions, and other security incidents. So, mismanaged certificate is a domino effect of challenges where one mismanaged certificate triggers a series of interconnected problems. And some of the notable security breaches due to mismanaged SSL certificates that we have heard with Yahoo, where they suffered multiple breaches due to various security lapses, including certificate mismanagement. Microsoft, where an expired SSL certificate caused a major outage of MS Azure Cloud Platform, and a misconfigured SSL certificate caused connectivity issues for users of Azure DevOps services. And likewise, Spotify, LinkedIn, where an issue due to forgotten expired SSL certificates led to connectivity issues. So some of the common consequences of mismanaged SSL certificates are data breaches, where an attacker can intercept and access sensitive data if SSL certificates are expired or mismanaged. Service disruptions, so users might be unable to access services, leading to productivity losses and dissatisfaction. Loss of trust, so customers may lose confidence in an organization's ability to protect their data. And finally, financial losses, so companies may costs related to remediation, legal fines, and loss of businesses. So how PAM 360 can help you in managing or automating the complete lifecycle management. So some of the best practices of SSL certificate management, like centralized management, automated renewal, regular audits, strong encryptions are the key features uh, in PAM 360's certificate lifecycle management. So let's quickly dive in to a demo or kind of like a live demo where I can showcase the features or walk you through the process of using PAM 360 for your SSL certificates lifecycle management. So first, using PAM 360, you can manage the complete lifecycle of both internally and externally signed certificates. So we have a separate dashboard called the keys dashboard that shows you the health of all certificates in your organization once you have imported them into the PAM 360 certificate repository. For example, if you take a look at the certificate expiry chart, this gives you the count of certificates that are already expired and the certificates that are about to expire in 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. So if you click on it, you'll be able to view some detailed information about the certificates that are expired and are about to expire. And using PAM 360, you can manage any certificate that falls under the X509 standard. So we have this certificate authority chart that acts as a distribution chart, which gives you the count of certificates along with the signing authority details. Now, the first step when it comes to managing your SSL certificates using PAM 360 is to discover the existing certificates across your network, import them, consolidate the list of certificates that you wish to manage, and configure notification alerts. So to do that, we do support different types of discovery scans that allows you to discover certificates from different areas across your network. So from the certificates tab, if you click discovery, now we have this SSL discovery scan that allows you to discover certificates from web servers where the certificate is being consumed on a given port number. So for this type of discovery, you can discover based on host name or IP address, or by providing the fully qualified domain name of the web server. For a bulk discovery, you can either go with an IP address range option or discover certificates from multiple resources within a subnet, or even upload a file that contains the list of servers. So for this demo, let's go with this IP address range discovery, where we can provide a start IP address and an end IP address. We also provide you the option to exclude IP addresses if required. And by default, we use port 443 for this discovery. In case if you'd like to discover certificates from multiple port numbers, you can add them separated by commas and click the discover button. As soon as you click the discover button, you'll be directed to the discovery status, and it will look like this. So currently the discovery is in progress. So the discovery status will provide you the information on whether the certificate discovery is successful or if it is a failure. So if the discovery is a failure, from the description, you can identify why the discovery has failed. Now, similarly, we also help you to discover certificates from mail servers present in your network, or you can discover certificates from SSH-based load balancers like Nginx, BigIP, F5, Citrix, which is tunneled via SSH on port 22. We also help you to discover or bulk import certificates, certificate files from a shared path based on Windows or Linux operating systems. And we help you to discover and manage certificates that are mapped to the user accounts in the Active Directory. And one of certificate store. The next one is a commonly used discovery scan that allows you to perform two types of discoveries. So the Microsoft Certificate Store discovery with the type certificate store allows you to discover certificates from the Microsoft Management Console. So here you can just specify the server name. So it can be the server name or the IP address or the fully qualified domain name. And you have an option here to click the get stores. So if you click the get stores, it will retrieve the list of available stores from which you could choose and click the discover button. Now, for bulk discovery, you can either go with an IP address range option or upload a file that contains the list of servers. So here, as you see, the discovery is successful. And if you click on the host name, you'll be able to view the list of servers discovered from that particular store on that particular server. Now, the second type of discovery is Microsoft Certificate Store. Now, this type allows you to use PAM 360 to directly integrate with an internal signing authority like the Microsoft CA and directly discover certificates. So here, after providing the server name of your internal CA, you can customize the discovery where you can either include or exclude expired revoked certificates. You can go with the date filter option or even discover certificates based on specific templates. So you'll have a get templates button, which will retrieve the list of available templates from your internal CA and gives you a drop-down from which you could choose and discover certificates. So most of the discovery scans that you perform is going to be agentless if there is a direct access from the PAM 360 server to the target. When it comes to the SSL discovery based on host name or IP addresses, now this is going to be a pure network scan, and we do not require any privileged account to run this discovery. But if you take the Microsoft Certificate Store discovery, or in other words, let's say certificate management in Windows. For certificate management in Windows, we'll use the Windows API protocols, WMI ports 135 and 445. And as a prerequisite, you need to run the PAM 360 service using a privileged account. Now, this can either be a domain admin account, or you can create a dedicated service account for PAM 360 and make sure that the service account has local admin privilege on target machines where you'd like to perform the certificate management operations like discovery or deployment. Now, in case if you run into scenarios where the servers are in a DMZ zone, or if you are beyond a firewall, or if you have two different domains with no trust relationship, in those cases, you can use PAM 360's Windows agents to discover certificates. So this discovery can be based on an IP range or from certificate store, certificate authority, or even from a directory. Apart from this, PAM 360 directly integrates with AWS Certificate Manager, and this discovery helps you to discover certificates from AWS Certificate Manager and based on specific regions, and user certificates from identity and access management. We also directly integrate PAM 360 with ManageEngine's mobile device manager, and this allows you to discover certificates directly from mobile devices. And finally, we integrate PAM 360 with the key vaults in Azure. And this discovery allows you to discover SSL certificates and TLS secrets stored in the key vaults. So most of the discovery scans, or almost all discovery scans when performed under the discovery tab, is a manual process. You're doing it on demand. As a best practice, you can automate the discovery scans through a scheduled task. So that can be configured under admin SSH SSL config, where you can just provide a schedule name and select the schedule type. So let's say if it is SSL discovery, you can discover by IP range, subnet from a file, load balancer, or shared path. Or you can automate the discovery scans for AD user certificate, MS certificate store discovery for certificate store and certificate authority, and AWS discovery. So once scheduled, you can just configure the recurrence type, uh, either daily, weekly, or monthly. So PAM 360 is going to automatically run these scans, and it's also going to notify you through an email upon successful discovery. So this performing these type of discovery scans either on demand or periodically through scheduled task gives you the visibility of all certificates across your network. So any certificate discovered will be discovered and imported under the certificates tab. So this is the actual inventory where you'll be able to view some detailed information about the certificates. And the valid to date that you see here is color coded. If a certificate is already expired, it will be coded red. In case if the certificate is about to expire, it will be coded amber. And we also have this multiple servers icon that you see on the far right side. Now, let's say if one certificate is deployed to multiple servers, and if the tool detects it through the SSL discovery scan that you perform based on IP ranges or subnets, we will automatically enable the multiple servers icon of that specific certificate. So if you click on it, you'll be able to view the list of servers from where the certificate is discovered from. Okay. Now, once the certificates are discovered and imported into the repository, the next step is to configure notification alerts so that you don't miss on any certificate expirations. To do that, you can go to admin SSH SSL config notification settings. Now, this notification policy that you configure under admin is a global notification policy where you can just go and specify the number of days before which you should start receiving notifications. And this option is customizable. So let's say if you enter 90 days, if you have certificates that are about to expire within 90 days, that is 1 to 89, you'll receive an email alert. And here under the email notification dropdown, you can have multiple two addresses separated by commas to whom the notification email has to be sent. So based on the recurrence time and the notification policy that you have configured, PAM 360 is going to scan the list of all certificates in its repository, and it is going to trigger a notification email for the same. Now, as I mentioned, this notification policy is a global setting. So it is applicable to the email addresses mentioned here under this to address. It is also applicable to the email addresses that can be configured per certificate so that the certificate owner is notified. And it is also applicable to certificate groups. So you can either create a static group or a dynamic group based on a criteria and update group email addresses. Now, let's say you have configured notification policies for 90 days. And if you'd like to configure different notification policies, one for 90 days, 60 days, 30 days. Now, in that scenario, you can very well create a scheduled task where you can go choose the schedule type as SSL expiry. Now here it allows you to list or select the list of all certificates or create a certificate group that can either be a static group or a dynamic group and select the group instead. And then you can configure the number of days. So let's say 30 days. Now based on the recurrence type that you're going to choose, either daily, weekly, or monthly, the tool will only scan the list of certificates that you have selected, and it will trigger a notification email for the same. So the schedules will be useful if you would like to create certificate groups based on the certificate owners so that only the owner gets notified or the specific department gets notified on their certificate expiry. Now, the next step when it comes to certificate management is to create certificates. Now, PAM 360 provides you the option to create certificate signing request. So here under the CSR tab, if you click the create button, you can either create a certificate signing request by providing the required details, or if you already have a key store, you can just create CSR from key store, browse for the key store file, provide the private key password and click create. Now, while creating a certificate signing request, so you can provide a common name, you can have multiple SAN names separated by commas, the organization details, you can customize the encryption types like the key algorithm, the key size, and the signature algorithm. Once done, you can mention the validity in number of days, hours, or minutes. And then you can either manually enter the store password or use the generate password button to the right, which will randomly generate a password, and then click the create button. So once you click the create button, the CSR will be saved here. And if you select the CSR and click the sign button, this sign type allows you to sign internally signed certificates. So it can be a Microsoft Certificate Authority sign or sign with root. So you just select the certificate, click the sign button by specifying the validity so that the created certificate gets listed under the certificates tab. Right. Now getting back to all right. So now certificate management simplified with ManageEngine. So we have seen the steps on how you can perform end-to-end certificate discovery, timely alerts, certificate creation, right? Now, when it comes to certificate renewal and deployment, certificate renewal depends upon the signing authority of the certificate. So if the certificates are self-signed, Microsoft Certificate Authority signed, or root signed, private CA signed, which falls under internal signed certificates, the renewal is pretty straightforward. After the certificate renewal, the next step is to deploy certificates. To renew a certificate, you just select the certificates checkbox, click the renew button, mention the validity and number of days, and hit renew. Now, once the certificate is renewed, you can use the different types of deployments supported by PAM 360 to deploy certificates to endpoints. So to deploy certificates, you can just select the certificates checkbox and click the deploy button. Now here, if you take a look at Windows and Linux, now these two deployments will act as a file transfer. So for example, if you go with Windows, you have to provide the server name, and a valid path on the server where the certificate has to be stored. You can also select the format in which the certificate has to be stored and even specify a file name in which the certificate has to be stored. And then if you click the deploy button, PAM 360 is going to perform a file transfer. So it's going to copy the certificate in the preferred format and in the preferred file name, and it is going to store it in the path that's been specified. So if an already existing certificate with the same name and format is present, it will be replaced with the new certificate's file name. The same is applicable if you're going to perform a Linux-based deployment, which is again tunneled via SSH on port 22. Apart from these two deployments, which act as a file transfer, you can deploy certificates directly to Microsoft Certificate Store by providing the server name. The path that you specify here will be a temporary path on the target server where the certificate will be stored before it's deployed. Once deployed, it will automatically be removed from that path. And you can also select the store name to which the certificate has to be stored and click deploy. And we also support IaaS-based deployments where PAM 360 allows you to deploy and bind certificates to websites hosted on an IaaS server. So currently, PAM 360 in PAM 360 for IaaS binding, you only see the agent option. So in order to see single and multiple servers for the IaaS binding, you have to make sure that the PAM 360 server has web server IaaS and ASP.NET of .NET version 4 and above enabled on the PAM 360 server. In that case, you should see two other options, like as you see for Internet Information Services. If yes, then you'll be able to deploy and bind certificates to websites hosted on an IaaS with no manual intervention. Apart from this, you can deploy certificates to browsers based on the operating system like Windows, Linux, or Mac operating systems. You can deploy certificates to ManageEngine's mobile device manager, and you can perform certificate deployment to AWS Certificate Manager based on specific regions. And for the load balancer deployment, currently we support end-to-end deployment for Citrix ADZ and FortiGate firewall. Apart from managing internally signed certificates, as we have seen so far, PAM 360 also integrates with third-party certificate authorities like GoDaddy, DigiCert, GlobalSign, SSL Store, Sectigo. So these integrations allows you to discover certificates, order, renew, reissue, and revoke certificates from that particular certificate authority. So for this demo, I'll just show you how an integration with Sectigo look like. So for example, if you have certificates from Sectigo, you can integrate with Sectigo using the account from Sectigo. So this account for Sectigo's certificate manager should have an MRAO or an RAO admin role, and you have to provide the customer URI. Once done, the organization's domains and profiles that you have with Sectigo gets automatically synchronized. So under organizations, you can view the validation status, and under domains, you can check if a domain is active or not. Once this is successful, you have an option to click on more and import existing orders. So this allows you to import existing orders and their corresponding certificates from Sectigo. The certificate orders gets imported here, and the actual certificates corresponding to these orders will be directly imported under the certificates tab. Once done, using this integration, let's say if a certificate is up for renewal, you can go to Sectigo, select the certificate order, and hit the renew button. So when you press the renew certificate button, it usually gives you a form with pre-populated information from the previous order. You can edit and you can just create it so that the renewal request will be forwarded to Sectigo through the API call. And once Sectigo validates and issues the certificate, the newly issued certificate will be imported under the Certificates tab. And you'll be able to view the order status as certificate saved. Similarly, if you have created a certificate incorrectly with an incorrect common name, if you'd like to reissue certificates, you can very well reissue certificates, and you can also revoke certificates. Or if you'd like to create a brand new certificate from Sectico, just click the order certificate button and it will just give you this form. You provide the common name. You can have multiple SAN names separated by commas, the organization details. So once you fill in this information, click the create button. Again, this order request will be forwarded to Sectigo, and once Sectigo validates and issues the certificate, the newly issued certificate will be automatically imported, ready to be exported or ready to be deployed. So the same way you can do it for the rest of the third-party certificate authorities supported by PAM 360. Right. So exhibiting readiness for the potential 90-day certificate mandates. So as we all know, the validity period of SSL certificates has evolved significantly over the years to enhance security and keep pace with the changing threat landscape. So initially, SSL certificates were issued with validity periods of up to like 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, and 2 years. So these long durations were convenient to administrators, but they posed significant security risks. So as of now, the maximum validity period of SSL certificates has been reduced to 1 year. So the shorter validity period enhances security by ensuring that the certificates are updated more frequently, reducing the risk of using compromised or outdated cryptographic algorithms. So PAM, and now when it comes to the recent trend and future directions, uh, we are following 90 days certificates, right? So PAM 360 has almost adapted the recent trend to 90-day certificate. So this is achieved using the ACME integration that is currently available with PAM 360. So PAM 360 directly integrates with the ACME providers by default with Let's Encrypt, Bypass GoSSL, and Zero SSL. In addition to this, we have provided you the option to configure custom ACME. So here under admin, SSL certificates, you have ACME providers. So you can add an ACME provider with the relevant information. Click on save. Once added, so these ACME providers gets listed under the ACME tab. So for this demo, I'll just walk you through the process on how you can procure certificates from Bypass GoSSL. So before procuring certificates from an ACME provider, there are some prerequisites where you need to first register your account. So you can either go with the new registration or add an existing account. Once done, PAM 360 by default supports two types of validation for the certificates that you procure. So it can either be an HTTP validation or a DNS validation. So if it is a DNS validation, you have to pre-configure the DNS provider information. So here, if you click the add button, we do support a list of DNS providers like Azure, Cloudflare, Amazon, RFC, GoDaddy, Cloud DNS, and DNS Made Easy. So currently we have pre-configured Cloudflare. Once this is done, then you can just go create a certificate request. So you can provide a common name. You can have multiple SAN names if required. And then you have to select the challenge type. So let's say if it is a DNS challenge, you'll have this DNS drop-down where you'll find the pre-configured DNS provider, specify the key algorithm, the algorithm length, and the signature algorithm based on your requirement. And then you can either manually enter a store password or click the generate password button. So once you click the create button, the certificate request will go to a pending status. So if you click on the pending status, you'll be able to view the text record. Since we have configured a DNS provider, it gets automatically validated, and you have an option here called agent mapping. So if you click on agent mapping, based on the type of validation, you can select or enable automatic deployment based on the endpoint. So currently Windows and Linux are supported. If it is Windows, you have to use an agent. So you have to download and deploy the PAM 360's Windows agent to the target machine. If it is Linux, then it is tunneled via SSH. So here you can select the format and the certificate path to which the certificate has to be stored upon successful renewal. So once the certificate request is verified, you will have the request status as complete, where the certificate status will be saved. So this indicates that the certificate is successfully requested and imported into the PAM 360 repository. Now, by default, PAM 360 is designed to automatically renew the certificate 15 days prior to its expiry. That is on the 75th day. So whenever the certificate is renewed, and if you have configured the automatic deployment under that particular certificate request, the certificate will be deployed to that particular endpoint, to that particular location. Okay, so the same way you can automate it for all our ACME providers, like Let's Encrypt, Zero SSL, or if you're going to add custom ACME providers. Okay. So far, so we have seen both integrations with an internal signing authority like the Microsoft CA, or an external signing authority, or how you can automate the complete lifecycle management of SSL certificates using the ACME integration in PAM 360. Now, additionally, PAM 360 also offers a feature called private CA. Now, this private CA feature can be used alongside with an already existing Microsoft certificate authority, where you can create multiple sub-certificate authorities like sub or intermediate CAs using the private CA feature, or you can use the private CA feature as a complete replacement for your Microsoft certificate authority. So let's quickly take a look at how the private CA feature works in PAM 360. So here under certificates, you have a separate tab for private CA. Now the process looks like this. So you have to first create a root certificate authority, a root certificate. So you just click the create root certificate, provide the common name, SAN name, organization details, customize the encryption types, and click on create. So a root certificate is created. Now using this root certificate, you can create as multiple intermediate or sub CAs. So sign with certificate is going to be the root certificate that you have created. Now let me go and create an intermediate CA certificate. I'll just name it intermediate CA, and then I have to specify a validity. So the validity of the intermediate certificate should be less than the root's validity. So let me specify 1000. I'll go generate the store password, enable the checkbox to sign intermediate certificate. You also have advanced options where you can manage key usage and extended key usage if required, and click the create button. So once you hit the create button, this intermediate certificate will be signed with that root CA. So if you click on the signed certificates of the root CA, you have this intermediate CA created. And if you take a look at the hierarchy, so you'll have the primary root CA and the intermediate CA. Now, once these two certificates are created, you have to make sure that these two certificates are trusted by all domain joined machines using a group policy. Now, once done, you can have this root certificate offline, and you can use the intermediate or the sub CA to sign end entity certificates that allows you to secure your internal network. Okay, so using the private CA feature in PAM 360, so you can issue and manage digital certificates for internal resources, which in turn enhances security and control over certificate management without relying on an external CA. It also reduces external threats and enhances certificate management efficiency. Again, it streamlines administration, integrating certificate management into security workflows. Okay. So far, with all these functionalities of PAM 360, so here comes the benefits of automated certificate management. Now, when it comes to automated certificate management, so we have just seen the process on how you can do an automated certificate management for the ACME providers. Similarly, we support automatic certificate management for internally signed certificates. So that are Microsoft Certificate Authority signed, self-signed, root signed, or private CA signed. Now, for other third-party certificate authorities like GoDaddy, DigiCert, Sectigo, currently an automatic renewal and deployment is not supported, but we are already working on it. So in our near future, you'll have automatic renewal and automatic deployment for the other third-party certificate authorities. So currently, for other third-party certificate authorities, except for ACME, you can perform the complete lifecycle management, like you can order, renew, reissue, revoke, and you can even perform a manual deployment. So when it comes to this benefits of automated certificate management, again, you effortlessly and effortless and timely renewal of certificates. It reduces cost or decreases errors in certificate management, and it also enhances scalability with growing certificate needs. Okay. So your ideal certificate management routine with PAM 360. So here we have two workflows. The workflow one is the certificate lifecycle management using PAM 360. So you can procure an internally or an externally signed certificate. You can run discovery scans across your network, either on demand or automatically through scheduled tasks to create an inventory. Once done, you monitor and maintain the certificates that are imported into the repository. So you can run periodic vulnerability scans. You can PAM 360 also tracks domain expiration and notifies you on the same. So these two finally ends up with the renewal. So you can renew the certificate based on the signing authority and deploy the certificate to the target endpoint where the certificate will be consumed. For all certificate management operations in PAM 360, you have instant audits. So you'll have the audit reports under it. So you'll have the certificate audit. So it shows you who performed the operation, when, what type of operation it is, and the description for that operation. You can also receive notification alerts on audit when the operation is being performed. And then apart from this, you also have comprehensive reports for all SSL certificate management. So under reports, you have the certificates report. So you have an overall SSL certificates report, SSL expiry report, wildcard reports, renewal reports, and you also have reports for the third-party certificate authority integrations, like request reports, vulnerability reports. So you can download or generate these reports on demand, export them in a PDF or a CSV format, or you can directly send it across to multiple email addresses. In case if you'd like to receive these reports automatically from PAM 360, you can very well schedule a task where you can go choose the schedule type as report, select the report type as per your requirement. So based on the recurrence type that you're going to choose, PAM 360 is going to automatically generate these reports, and it's going to send it to the email addresses mentioned here. Okay. So let's quickly have a recap on what we have explored in regards to PAM 360's certificate management capabilities. So we have seen the steps on how you can discover existing certificates, create the inventory, configure notification alerts so that you don't miss out on certificate expiry. You can create certificate signing request, get a certificate signed and issued for internal purposes, or you can integrate with a third-party certificate authority where you can order, renew, reissue, and revoke certificates. You also seen the 90-day mandate on how PAM 360 integrates with ACME providers for a completely automated lifecycle management of SSL certificates. And finally, we have seen the audits and reports that helps you to keep track of the certificate management operations. So these are the different processes or workflows that PAM 360 addresses, uh, uh, like how PAM 360 addresses common certificate management challenges. So by leveraging the features of PAM 360, you can streamline your certificate management processes, enhance security, and ensure compliance with industry standards. So with that, I conclude today's masterclass.